So next, let's take a look at the measurement tools. This is getting back to some more technical stuff, but the measurement tools do some really, really good things that are going to help you make creative decisions. So the first and most important is the eyedropper tool. When you click inside your image, what this is going to do is set your foreground color to wherever you click. So see, now this is pink. Now say I want to change that, just click anywhere else in the image. The bottom half of this sampling ring that pops up shows you the last color that you had, and the top half shows you the new color that it's going to change to. So that's really useful when comparing your color choices. Moving around the image, we can pick up any color and set the foreground. This can be super useful when trying to evaluate colors in an image, because when we look at skin tones, we tend to see skin more as a thing, as a material. And when you sample in here using this tool, you can see what the actual color of that skin is. And down here in the shadows, it's really pushing more towards a burnt umber or deep red. And then as it moves into the lighter areas, it becomes a lighter brown, which is basically a muted orange. Just simply measuring colors in this way can help to give you a better understanding of what's actually going on in the image. So this hair, we might read it as black or dark brown, but in here, when we sample, it's actually kind of purple. So maybe there was a split tone in this image. I'm going to sample over here and set the foreground color to pink. If I want to keep this pink in my foreground color and change the background color, I can hit X, which is the hotkey to switch the foreground and background. You can also click the arrows here. And so now this white is my foreground color, so anywhere that I click inside the image, it's going to set that to the foreground color. So now I can have both of those colors available to me if I'm going to do some painting with the brush in this image. There are a couple really important options for the color sampling tools, just like there were with some of the selection tools that we looked at, because you can change the size of the area that the sample is taken from. Right now, if you look up top here, the sample size is set to point sample. So how does that play out? When I click in the image, see that top half of our color ring? It's changing a lot, because what the tool is doing is taking a sample from individual pixels. So it's going to be really, really precise. Now, I may want more of an average, and so I could bring it up to like 31 pixels. So it's going to sample 31 pixels around where I click. So notice that the sampling ring is changing a lot more smoothly because it's taking a general sample of the color. And even when I move over this different color, it barely changes because it's averaging 31 by 31 pixels, which is quite a lot of pixels. So if you want an average of the skin tone, you can just click in there. And an average of this pink, click in this area. I usually keep this at 3 by 3 or 5 by 5 when I'm working. So if I set it to current layer, and I bring up a couple of extra layers here, I'll show you what happens. It's showing pink in the sampling ring, and so this may confuse you if this ever happens and you're trying to sample a color and this isn't changing over here. It could be because you are on a layer that doesn't have anything on it and it's set to current layer, so it will not pick up any sampling if it's restricted to the current layer. So in that case, you'd want to say all layers, and it can drill down through the layer you're on to whatever pixels are below it and sample. Why would I even want to use the color sampler? Lots of times what we're asked to do is pick up colors from other parts of our images and match them. This is the tool to do it with. So say the client asks you to change the color of these shorts to match the background. With the color sampler, that becomes pretty easy and it takes away the guesswork. So I'm sampling the color from the background. That's set to my foreground color. On this layer, I'm just going to change the blending mode to color and bring up my brush and just paint over the shorts. Knowing what we do about isolations and using paths now, we'd be able to really nicely clip this out if we needed to, or even use some of the selection tools to target it. But you can see how quickly just using the color sampler in conjunction with the brush and a layer set to color, how quickly you can change the color of any part of your image. Color sampler tool. Now this is a variation of the eyedropper. And what this is going to do is drop color samples. So notice how info just popped up. If it didn't, you can always find the info palette under window. You see this little target here and it has a number 1 by it. And this also has a number 1 by it. What this is doing is showing me the RGB values of this area right here based on how many pixels I'm sampling, which are 3 by 3. So I can put color samples all over the image. Now this is a slightly more technical application of the color sampler tool. Like notice it did not change the colors here. It just put these points down to tell me the values. And these values can be changed to a bunch of different things. So you could see for color sampler number 1, if I set it to grayscale, it says K here, but just know that that's measuring the lightness or darkness only of this area. And the different settings measure different things. If I want to find the hue, I could go into HSB and the hue is 354. That'll start making sense more once you start manipulating colors in a more precise way using the color picker. But just know that this is what the color sampler does. So if you ever see these on an image that you pick up, it's because someone was measuring specific areas in the image. Now, some of these tools in the measurements section are used more for like photo forensics and medical imaging, so you might not find yourself using them much. Just know that they're in there. The note tool can actually be really useful for putting notes into your image. So if you wanted to make notes for yourself like lighten skin, you can create a note there. If you wanted to, say, make a note at the shorts, change shorts color to, go back to our eyedropper tool, say the shorts need to match sample number 1, we can go grab that color from there. Or look at the info palette. Number 1 says 354. You could go back to our note tool, double click, 354. So that's a way you could use those tools together. One other really important measuring tool are guides. And we use guides all the time in our work in order to just bring up a temporary vertical or horizontal line in the image that doesn't affect it in any way, but shows us maybe where like a border is or maybe some like ideal framing of a photograph. So in order to access a guide, I need to bring up the ruler. Command R brings up the ruler. You can also hit that in view to bring up rulers, okay? You can see here's the horizontal ruler, vertical. So this is good for us to be able to see how big the image is. So I'm going to undock that so the ruler snaps closer to the image. So we can see that this is inches, so it's roughly 25 inches by a little over 14. Now, in order to drag out a guide, I just click anywhere in that ruler and drag it out. And this is really helpful because you can just access it so quickly anytime you need to see a horizontal or a vertical. So from here, I can drag out. Now to modify and to work faster, there's a key. When I drag one out from the top, if I hit Option, it's going to switch the orientation of the guide. That way I don't have to worry about which ruler I'm pulling from. It's just whatever my mouse is closest to. I can hold down Option and change the orientation of the line. So I'm going to clear those guides. I want to show you a quick trick for finding the center of your image. If I hit Control and click in the ruler, I can change the units of measurement. So if you want to see the pixels, you can just click that, or any of these other units, but the one that I'm interested in is percent. This ruler is just showing me the percentage of my image. There's 100%, there's 0%. So you can probably guess the middle of the image is at 50%. Boom, drop a guide there, and drag another one down for 50%. So you can see how finding the center of the image in that way is a lot quicker than looking at the actual dimensions and having to open up your calculator and do some math to find out what the halfway points are. To move them, you have to go back to the Move tool, and then when you carefully mouse over the guide, it's going to change the cursor. So you can drag those to move them. Once again, you can hit Option to change the orientation after you've grabbed it. I'm holding the mouse down. And then you can also delete them by dragging them back off the canvas.